Hi everyone. So, welcome to our journey through this rich and multidisciplinary course, Advanced English Language Skills for Sciences. This paper integrates the imaginative world of literature with the empirical realm of science. So, in this video, we are gonna study or we are gonna just look at what are the chapters we have to study in this paper and what are the major points that you have to look into while studying each chapter. So, without wasting any time, let's move on to the chapters. So, first of all, we have The Fourth State of Matter by Joanne Beard. So, this is an essay by Joanne Beard. It is not just a personal narrative, but it is a deeply emotional and literary response to a trauma. So, the essay blends three distinct threads: her dying pet, her crumbling personal life, her marriage, and the tragic shooting at her workplace. So the writing is deeply poetic, often shifting between mundane tasks and emotional breakdowns. It is creating a surreal and fragmented atmosphere. Look at the title, The Fourth State of Matter, which is referring to the plasma. So here it comes as a metaphor, a symbol. Plasma in physics is chaotic and charged, much like the emotional state of the narrator in the narrative. So, Beard uses this metaphor of plasma or the fourth state of matter to mirror her own inner turbulence, her disintegrating world. What makes this essay extraordinary is how scientific metaphor becomes a vessel for expressing grief and loss. So, that's all that's are the major points you have to look into the chapter, The Fourth State of Matter. Next, we have a beautiful poem that is written by Sarah Howe. The name of the poem is Relativity. And this word relativity is much familiar to all of us because it's somehow and it's completely connected with the famous scientist Albert Einstein. So, Sarah Howe's poem Relativity, it is a sonnet that is dedicated to Stephen Hawking, and it demonstrates the fusion of poetic form with scientific content. The poem revolves around Einstein's theory of relativity, time expansion, time extension, Doppler's effect, black holes, etc. And there are so many imageries from the cosmos and all. The speaker uses metaphors of light and shadows to describe the elastic nature of time. And the poem is structured like a modern poet. But its content transcends romantic and natural themes. It instead delves into cosmic phenomena. The poem challenges students to see science not just as data or numbers, but as an imaginative landscape. Then we have The Cure by the Robert Smith. So this chapter is an interview with Robert Smith, the lead singer of the iconic alternative band The Cure. Though not scientific in content, this content is included to expand our understanding of expression, identity, and cultural influence through language and art. So Smith talks about his band's evolution, their emotional themes, and how their music resonates across cultures. His ideas reflect how music becomes a form of emotional science, tracking emotional frequencies and rhythm of feeling. So he is considering music as something scientific which has a proper tracking pattern. Next, we have a documentary, Only an Axe Away, which was directed by P. Baburaj and C. Sharat Chandran. And this documentary introduces us to one of the India's most historic environmental campaigns, that the Save Silent Valley movement. So it's set in Kerala. This documentary showcases how ecological awareness grew in response to governmental plans to construct a dam in the rich biodiversity hotspot. So the title, Only an Axe Away, it powerfully suggests how vulnerable our nature is, always one step away from the destruction. So the film or the documentary combines visuals and narrative to evoke a sense of urgency and loss. So we can see concepts like eco-literature, environmental ethics, activism, scientific responsibility, all these points in this documentary. Now we have the second module, Wonders of Science by Albert Einstein. So this is a speech delivered by Einstein in Berlin in 1930s, which is revealing a dimension of a scientist that is not confined to the laboratories. So he discusses the ethical and spiritual responsibilities of scientists and engineers, and emphasizes that science without humanity is incomplete. You should know what you are doing. And he's saying that it is the scientists or the innovators or the engineers are the ones who make democracy practical at every level. And Einstein argues that while science has achieved great technological progress, it must be coupled with moral maturity, and he warns of the dangers of valuing efficiency and control over compassion and balance. Next, we have a poem written by Rosebud Ben Oni, which is named as All Palaces Are Temporary Palaces. So this is a poem that invites readers to contemplate the cosmic scale of existence and the temporary nature of human constructs. So the phrase, look at the phrase or look at the title, All Palaces Are Temporary Palaces. So palace is a symbol of grandeur. So a palace is often considered as symbolic of power, stability. But here they are saying that all palaces are temporary palaces. So there is the word temporary. So this is paradoxical. The title itself is paradoxical. And the same way she is narrating in the poem. So the phrase temporary palaces suggests that no matter how grand, all creations, whether physical, emotional, or intellectual, are fleeting, are about to undergo change. The poet interlaces scientific imagery, cosmos, time, energy, with metaphysical questions, which is creating a surreal yet emotionally resonant experience. So it is structured in different variant lines. It starts with an image of an innocent child asking about asteroid mining to her aunt. And then the poem takes a shift and it goes on narrating what are the things that are temporary, even though we consider it as the strong and stabilized ones. Next, we have a short story, which is a sci-fi short story named The Star, written by Arthur C. Clarke. So this short story challenges the duality between faith and scientific truth. So in the story, you can find a Jesuit priest who is also an astronomer, astrophysicist, who is discovering that a supernova that destroyed an advanced civilization was the same celestial event that was interpreted as the Star of the Bethlehem. So this revelation creates an intense spiritual conflict. So he's having a conflict in his mind that if God used destruction to announce the birth of his son, what does that say about divine benevolence? So it's discussing about the ethical dilemmas in science, existentialism, and the narrative power of science fiction. Next, we have We Live in the Age of Cancer by Siddhartha Mukherjee and Adam Rutherford. Actually, it is an interview. So, this is an engaging dialogue between two contemporary scientific thinkers, Mukherjee and Rutherford. So, Siddhartha Mukherjee is a renowned oncologist. Oncologist means the one who's treating cancer, and he's one of the major authors too. So he was discussing cancer not as just a disease, but he is making a historical biological evaluation of how cancer is in the form, and what are the history behind it, and how we can cure it, what is the history of the treatment and everything. So he reflects on his books The Emperor of All Maladies, The Gene, and The Song of the Cell, in which he is highlighting how understanding genetics and the cell biology can revolutionize the treatment of cancer. Next, we have the third module, that is starting as On Earth as in the Heavens, which is written by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So this essay reiterates that the laws of physics are universal. What governs a falling apple also governs planetary orbits, which means an apple is falling from a tree, is attracted towards the earth, it's attracted towards the ground. So the same force is the reason for the satellites, especially here they are mentioning the moon to orbit the earth. So Tyson argues for a cosmic humility, showing how earth is not special in its laws it obeys. So it encourages us to move beyond human-centric thinking and to appreciate the elegance and constancy of the cosmos, because the physical laws are same everywhere, even if it's in the earth, even if it's in the sun, even if it's in some other corner of the universe, the cosmos, the physical laws would be the same. But when it comes to the matter, when it comes to the case of human beings, they are unpredictable. So that's the idea they are carrying out here. Next, we have a wonderful poem written by Wisława Szymborska, which is named Pi. So pi is a mathematical constant, as all of you know, 3.141. The value is continuing, it's infinite. So the poem is a celebration of the mathematical constant pi, which represents infinity, irrationality, and endless pursuit of knowledge. So each stanza marvels at how pi's digits never end, despite our need to find patterns. So the poem uses playful language, structured rhythm, and scientific metaphors to present a philosophical idea, knowledge that has no philosophical or final limit. Next, we have A Study in Emerald. So, A Study in Emerald is a story written by Neil Gaiman, which is blending the detective fiction with the Lovecraftian horror. So we can see a crossover of the genres that imagines a world where monstrous beings rule Earth and resistance is revolutionary. Resistance is considered revolutionary. So it was inspired by the famous Arthur Conan Doyle's A Study in Scarlet, which is one of the famous story of the fictional character Sherlock Holmes, and it is the first story in which the character Sherlock Holmes appears to. So here we can see a similarity in the heading as well, and Gaiman flips the narrative to challenge traditional heroism and morality. So we can also discuss about the alternative histories, genre blending, narrative subversion, etc. Next, we have a poem that is that is an ingenious use of mathematics as metaphor. A love poem for lonely prime numbers by Harry Baker. The prime numbers by nature are indivisible. Okay, so this is symbolizing their uniqueness, loneliness, etc. The poet crafts a narrative of two lonely primes destined to never be together. The poem is rich in wordplay, rhythm, and emotional nuances, showing how even numbers can carry profound meanings. So here we can see there are three numbers in total: 59, 60, and 61. And 59, 60 and 61 are personified in the entire poetry. So personification is a major poetic device that is employed here, and this is talking about a love story. Then we are gonna deal with the fourth module, nano clay, the liquid turning desert to farmland by Rachel Lowell. So this is an article, and this article introduces us to an incredible scientific innovation, that is liquid nano clay. So it discusses how this material can transform arid and infertile land into fertile soil by binding particles together and improving water retention as well. So it highlights the real world application of science for sustainable agriculture and climate resilience. So this is a prime example of how scientific advancement can provide solutions to global challenges. So nanoclay, along with nanoclay, they are also mentioning about biochar and vermiculite. But here nanoclay is presented as something that is inspired from the Nile Delta, and it is even for even can be used, and even after spraying, after a few hours we can even plant the seedlings and all. Next, we have the preface to the reader by Rene Descartes. So this preface to the Meditations on First Philosophy by Rene Descartes is a philosophical defense of his ideas against the critics. So Rene Descartes reiterates his commitment to rationalism, arguing that truth must be derived from reason alone, not sensory experience. So Rene Descartes touches on the existence of God and the immortality of soul, claiming these truths can be known logically. And this text is foundational to scientific rationalism and epistemology. So let's think how philosophy laid the groundwork for modern science. What does it mean to doubt everything? Is reason enough to prove existence? Next, we have a science documentary named A Trip to Infinity. So this documentary is visually compelling exploration of infinity. It is a concept that baffles mathematicians, physicists, philosophers, and even artists. It presents different forms of infinity: numerical, spatial, temporal, and conceptual, in simple yet thought provoking ways. So, this documentary doesn't just inform, but it inspires curiosity and awe about the universe's mysteries. So we can see multidisciplinary exploration, visual storytelling, and conceptual abstraction in this documentary. You have to think, why is infinity such a powerful metaphor? Can science explain everything, or does it also point to mystery? That's the question you have to ponder while dealing with this science documentary. Last but not the least, we have Scientific Timber by Indian scientists. It's actually a documentary which presents a powerful call for a scientific timber in the society. Actually, the term scientific timber is used by Indian leaders like Nehru to promote rational thinking, evidence based inquiry, and skepticism of dogma. The scientists emphasize the need to build a culture of curiosity and critical thought, especially in the era of misinformation. So, this is a vital resource for teaching science literacy, national development, and science as a democratic tool. So, as we have already studied in our first semester, scientific timber needs to be the basis of building a rationally pointed, a rationally developed nation. So that's what Nehru was also dreamt about. So to conclude this course, it isn't just about studying literature or science in isolation. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of disciplines, about understanding that language is a bridge to scientific thought and that science is a narrative as much as it is a method. So, whether it's a poem about the prime numbers, or whether it's a philosophical essay on rationalism, or let it be a documentary on infinity, each text opens a window to thinking critically and feeling deeply. So, you have to get encouraged to learn the facts, figures, but not blindly, but like the scientists, poets, and the artists we have seen in these chapters. So, the ultimate aim of this book is to build in or develop the scientific timber in the reader's mind. And that's all for today. Thank you.